What's going on with the mafia?
I don't know. The dingy hyenas are very noisy tonight. Anyway, so we're gonna do some resin for Debbie tonight.
Oh,
So I recommend you put it in some hot water.
let me go get a beer. You want one?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Do not, I repeat, do not microwave your resin. It ends up badly. Hot water to loosen it up, right? So it gets a nice little flow to it. This might be a two-parter. Might be a long video. I don't know. Anyway, so it's flowing because this time of year it's kind of cold. You got side A and side B. Two-part resin. We're gonna go somewhere that's less noisy than where the hyenas are. So we go to the stuff station where it's quiet. Oh, Debbie's gonna be making coasters tonight, and she needs resin. Oh shit! Shit!
We're doing resin?
We're gonna do resin. So, to the stuff station, which I have set up for.
Here. I'll
Shit.
film it.
All right, we have an assistant today.
Yep.
Double shoot. That's a new laptop.
Here, I'm gonna come to this side.
All right.
All right, there you go.
You take your cup. Like I said, this is a 50-50 mix. We're finishing off one, so the side B. Got your graduated cups, right? So that's the starting point. We've washed all of these to get all the residuals and the hairs and stuff out. So we're gonna put all the side B we got there. So that's just a little over an ounce. And the problem is that I've been chasing this problem for a while, is I've got disproportionate amounts in these two containers. Because, I don't know, I misjudged one or something. So that's a little over an ounce, so we're gonna add, so this just until it gets over 2 ounces. There we go. So the chemical mix, it's important. We're gonna set this way to the side right now. And then because she's gonna do 5 of these, we're gonna take this probably up another. We were at 2.5. So we're gonna go to 4. Right. And we're gonna add another 2 of the 1A. So that should take us to 6. And then hopefully we're back on track for equal mixing with all that stuff. Now, as you can see, we've got quite a thing going on right there. The air bubbles coming to the top. That's why you heat it up to get the air bubbles out. Now, you can do it with a stir stick. I'm lazy, my shoulders are bad. So I've 3D printed myself this little cool guy mixer. Right? So you can do it in a number of ways. You want to keep your mixer to the bottom. And however you do it, with a hand drill or whatever, because what you want to do is limit the amount of air you put into your mixture. So you're going to mix it up and down, right? You're going to see it changing the strata, right? And that's why we heated it up, because it's going to make the mixing way more efficient, right? You can see it mixing. Now, the way that this stuff, you can already see it changing because it's warmer. When it's thoroughly mixed, this thing pops. It goes crystal clear, as opposed to that murky kind of stuff we were seeing. And then we're going to take it out to the vacuum tank to pull the rest of the air out of it. And then Debbie can do her mojismo and make more of her flower coasters. Right, so you mix it for at least a couple minutes, because you can see I don't know if you can see it on the video, but you can see the swirls in it. Right, where the two dissimilar epoxies need to mix to get you that good, consistent, nice, crystal clear resin. Again, the drill press is overkill, but I'm lazy. I find it's way more consistent than using just a hand drill, and way faster than just doing it by hand. You'll see a lot of different videos that do a lot of different things. but they don't have 3D printers to custom print until they find just the right mixer. This has worked really good for me. I printed a couple for my friends, so it's actually really super from that standpoint. So you can see it's crystal clear now, so it's pretty thoroughly mixed, but we're going to make sure, and we've warmed it up in the hot water. Again, do not microwave your resin. You will regret it, because it's dumping chemically. That stuff snaps, and I mean, it's so hot I had to take it outside and run for fear of an explosion. But it is crystal clear now. We've got some good air bubbles in it, right? Nowhere near as bad. If you mix this cold, this thing would look like a milkshake. Okay, so we're pretty happy with that. So we're gonna set it down. Let it throw off the remainder of the resin off the end of the mixer. And that also gives our resin a chance. You see the air bubbles rising.
And drink a beer.
I do not advocate alcohol for the record, but I drink.
But I do.
All right, so then you put your little cup on there for anything that has not. Then we're going to take this out to the vacuum tank. You can see considerably more clear. And we're going to use the vacuum tank to pull those air bubbles, which are slowly rising out.
You want me to pause it right quick?
No, you can't pause them.
Oh, okay.
You can record from there.
Oh.
So we're going to go past the den of hyenas again.
Rude? The faces.
All right. So this is a vacuum tank. Pretty expensive on Amazon.
I'll go to this side.
It's got a wee pad inside it in case of spilling. When you use a vacuum tank and it comes to resin, what's going to happen is this thing is going to bubble violently. We're going to move any one of our numerous projects out of the way. You set your silicone lid down there. You turn on your pump. These things spit a bit of oil. That's normal. Right now it's vented to atmosphere. So you're going to close this one, press down here a little bit, and there we go. We're pulling vacuum. We'll take this to about 30 inches. James recording here, right? So what you're seeing, all this smoke looking stuff, is the air getting evacuated from this tank. And then what's going to happen is that resin is going to start looking like a soda pop.
That's super neat.
Right, so when we hit about 30 inches, I see some serious shit. Fortunately, this is pretty unaerated. The more aerated your resin is, the more aggressive it foams. Keep that in mind to keep enough space from the top of your...
Oh wow, look, it's pulling the sill pad.
It's pulling it all up. And we just hit about 30 inches right there. 30 inches of vacuum. We're going to shut the blue valve. We're going to turn off the pump. And then we're going to let it hold vacuum. So if you watch it, it's going to aggressively pull all the air out of this cup.
Wow, look at that.
Right, because it's in a negative 30 inches of atmosphere. Right?
So that would be 30 feet underwater.
At least. The kind of atmospheric pressure this is seeing from sea level is 30 inches. Stainless steel construction of the tank gives you good resonance on the side.
Ow.
The
Go ahead.
silicone will hold vacuum, right? But you do get some leakage, so you may have to bump it again with your vacuum pump. So it's kind of just keeping an eye on it. The oil that's on my hand.
Is it a normal cook pot?
Yeah, that's just a regular stove pot. The silicone lid with the clear plastic is what like the key is. That was a selling point for me. I bought the whole thing on Amazon for like 130 or 140 bucks. And that was the gauges, the whole
With the
sheet.
compressor and...
everything. With the vacuum pump. So you're still seeing all this air getting pulled out of it because it's negative air. So even if there wasn't air, this fluid doesn't know how to react. So it is super clean, and you're seeing all that stuff pop on top. It's not necessary, right? You can do it without one of these. Warming the resin, cannot recommend enough, especially if it's cool out. Do not microwave. And
you warmed the resin in
hot water
in the sink.
Do it in the microwave. One part of that, the hardener, goes psychotic, and there's fumes and explosions and death, and it's pretty bad. I say this from experience because I had to run out of the house and it was smoking.
Right.
Because resin works on a chemical reaction between the two, and that's what gives you your amount of time to set it and everything. So.
Hold on 1 second. I'm a safety guy, and I'm Dirk's brother. Please do not microwave your resin, because shit will go bad.
All right. So here.
Anyways.
All right. So come back. You can see almost 0 bubbles left in this tank. It's been about maybe 4 or 5 minutes. Not even that. 3 minutes.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Just about done. So you'll notice when you release, we're going to let those last bubbles pop. Then we're going to release the vacuum. Watch the fluid.
Crystal clear.
Crystal clear. Now we're going to go pour this for Debbie's coasters. There we go. No bubbles. I mean, very few anyway, and then we can pop the rest of those with a heat gun.
Nice.
Once it's in the mold. So now we're going to go back and pour the bases for resin, because when you do coasters, it's usually a 2-part. You want to lay down the base, and then you're going to put whatever you're going to put in the middle. And then that's what gives you your decoration.
Yeah, so I think if you buy it, Dad, she's going to have to buy a little bookmark.
Bookmarks?
Resin printers.
Resin bookmarks.
Resin bookmarks.
Bookmarks?
Oh, we can find that.
I think that'd probably be the best option. Because they're too big to put anywhere else.
She feels that's the best option.
Oh, there's Keith.
Stop calling my cat fucking Keith or you.
Hey, you're on my channel. No cussing.
How rude. Oh my god.
Please go away.
Go home. Go on.
How rude. Alright.
All right.
We're back in the room where Dad does stuff.
The stuff station.
Oh, the stuff station.
I like
That's
naming
right.
things.
That's right.
That's one of the reasons I keep doing this sort of thing. All right, so we got our molds, right? These are silicone resin molds. We've cleaned them. I've got all the molds in the world for doing whatever's. At this point, if you wanted to add dye or color, you could mix it in there by hand. I've got this gold flake, copper flake. You can mix that in there.
That's actual gold leaf and copper leaf?
Yep, yep.
Okay.
So what the end result is going to be is something along these lines. Grandma got a whole bunch of coasters like this, but you need to lay your initial layer, right, to set your ridges, and then you don't want your flour sticking through or whatever you're resin casting. So we're going to do the initial layer. And
Gorgeous.
if you want to add anything after the fact, that's different. So it's just a nice. See, we got some debris. Anything you leave in there, this is glitter, which is the herpes of the crafting world, because once you pour it, it's everywhere. So you're just going to gently pour, nice and slow. That way, if there is any air bubbles, they go to the surface. See, this one's leaning right now, so we're going to move it over here where it's level, because this is self-leveling resin, right? We've had some spillage. Oh, no bueno. Rubbing alcohol, high purity, really takes care of this, cuts through it. That's because I moved it, but it's probably for the best because you can see it's halfway full, and that's going to give a nice location for setting the stuff after the fact. So we're going to get these all level. The table's level. A buddy of mine does this, and he's got a table that he can center stuff up on, right? So maybe we use all these, maybe we don't. We have to kind of play it by ear to see how much resin we got at 6 ounces, how many that fills. If you're super meticulous and OCD, like some people I know, they would know exactly how much resin each one holds. But that being said, depending on what you put in it, affects how much each resin mold holds, right? So like I said, it's self-leveling. You just want enough on this center layer so that when you set something on it, it's not dragging on that thing when you go to do your second layer, right? So you need a thin, super thin layer of the resin mold. See, we're going to be really tight, but we can steal some from these others that are a little bit over full. And we got time because we didn't microwave it, because it's going to give us a couple seconds. So you can scrape it out of here, harvest all of it, because resin is not inexpensive. right? So we're gonna get everything we can out of the cup. And then we're gonna pilfer off of these two, right? See that stuff that I spilled, ideally would have taken that one to where I needed it to go, right? Because we still got some working time with it. And this is gonna help thin out any bubbles I got going on.
Now, is this going back in the vacuum chamber?
No, not at this clarity, it is not. Hand me one of those rubbing alcohol wipes out of that hand wipe tin over there. No, way right, white and blue.
Oh. Sorry about that, everybody.
Yeah, so like I said, I take these hand wipes that are rubbing alcohol, which are really prevalent right now because of the Rona, and then I dose them higher with,
With the stuff you're doing your washes with, right?
exactly what I use my 3D printer resin for. So I take them up to about 99% for these wipes, which is convenient because aside from me being a bit clumsy and a little inebriated,
It happens.
it cuts right through this resin. Like it does the photo resin, it cuts through this. And that is the biggest challenge dealing with resin, is it is sticky and a pain in the butt. But high percentage rubbing alcohol, isopropanol, will thin it out.
So it's isopropanol. We're not talking methanol. We're not talking ethanol, anything like that. Isopropyl will work.
Yes. But you can buy it online, pretty high percentages. And that just gives you the way to clean this junk up.
Hey,
See, this one's
Keith.
still pretty,
What's happening, man?
pretty thick. Alright, so there we go. We're probably pretty happy with it. If you spill it out of your mold, it's not a big deal. It's going to stick to stuff. So it's messy, it's a pain in the butt. And you got to keep Keith out of here, because he is a hairy little mongrel. Anyway, so there, see? We're still pretty
Hold
happy
on.
with our coverage.
Come in and take a look at it.
See, even if you get a bubble, like what you're
Right.
seeing where I'm shy a little bit here,
Right.
it's self-leveling, so it'll figure it out. And even if, like, these aren't, oh, these hexes are a little bit tough and they're sticky. Even if you were shy in one area, you can come in after the fact if you mix your next batch as clean as you mixed your first batch and fill in any holes you have, and you won't have a problem.
Where'd you get the hexes?
Amazon.
Amazon.
Everything. Where do we get everything in the world? That's a 3D print we're doing in the resin printer right now. A little bit of,
SCP-049?
yeah, a little bit of plate doctor action. You can see a couple finished ones up there. It's for some dolls for my aunt. She makes dolls. Once I get her Etsy site, I will share it because add love for the family and people doing unique things I'm all about. So you can see now, because of how we poured it, we got a couple of spots here of air bubbles. Right, so you just take your Yanwi pen and you get in there and you just give it a little stir, and because we didn't microwave it, it's not set off yet. So you're looking for those air bubbles. See, we got a couple there, but nowhere near as much as if we hadn't vacuum chambered that cup and we hadn't warmed it right in that hot water, because this made this is crystal. And that is the big trick for anyone that does resin, is getting it crystal, right? Because then it is super cool. So next step later on, or tomorrow, after Deb set her flowers and made her designs or whatever, I'll do another video and kind of show that part of it. So we're just chasing bubbles right now.
Okay, so she's not going to set flowers or anything yet?
You can set it in there right now, but the problem is that they float, right? Things will float because of the buoyancy is a little bit different when you deal with resin. So she would have a problem with her stuff floating, which isn't a problem, but stuff also sinks, right? So it's going to punch through the top of your resin mold. So you need to wait for it to get tacky enough or solid enough that it's not going to sink in and then show through the finished product.
So is that the bottom or the top?
That is the top. Right?
That's the top.
Yeah, so what we just poured is this piece. This upper ridge. Right?
Okay.
So that's the edge for the coaster.
Ah.
Right, and so you can't feel these flowers because we poured this initial layer on this, and then she set and did her designs, or in this case, she set her flower and did her glitter, and then we poured the back.
Huh.
Right, so you can see it here with this, that we have some high points in this glitter that floated and didn't get mixed in there, so you can feel it, whereas the front is crystal. But you see when you set a flower in wet resin, you'll get air bubbles underneath the leaves. Right, which is a unique look, but when you do resin, it's not like ideal. It's not what you really want. You want that clarity, and you can even see a couple air bubbles in this, but nowhere near as many. And she's doing these as gifts.
Right.
An expensive gift. Right? Not cheap.
So are we
So now we're done.
are
with
we curing this via UV or
no,
just?
No, this is all a 2-part resin. This is all time based. The UV is in here, which I mean, I guess we could switch over and look at that since it's done.
Well, because you got a resin printer, and
So this is a UV resin printer. I mean, I suppose I could use the same wipes, but I use gloves with this one, mostly because it's got a touch screen.
here, let's do a different one. Right, go ahead.
Well, it's gonna have to